Alright guys, what's up? This is me again, coming at you live once again with the first episode of actually high intensity versus volume. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read I made a video, I don't know if you guys saw it already, the video that I made about 2 days ago about the three most important rules to building muscle, heavy weight, time on attention, and frequency. And I mentioned a lot of the examples that I used to come up with my data, and a lot of you guys were curious to know where I got some of my sources from. So first I was like, you know what, lazy motherfuckers, go look it up yourself. And I realized, you know what, this could be grounds for more videos. And I actually like seeing a hungry crowd. I like people that are hungry for knowledge because I like picking at people's brains for information. So when I see somebody else who's hungry for knowledge and who doesn't mind doing his own research, I actually support that. So I decided to put the link. I'm gonna put the link either on the screen or in the description, and to show you guys the stories so you guys can read them yourselves. And like I said, I'm going to gather information from bodybuilders, athletes all over the world, poor people, rich people, as many as much variety as possible, because the more variety you throw into the mix, the stronger the common thread is once you actually find it. That's what you guys, it's all about, looking at a lot of different stories and picking the common thread. So anyway, this story is the story of the Thailand guy. A lot of you guys were requesting that story. I'm gonna put the link once again on the screen. So pretty much to make it short, let me try to read it. I found the page. It's a Muay Thai master. He's actually old now, but then one of his students was doing an interview with him, and his student told him to tell the story of why his traps were so massive. Because there's a picture on his wall. If you go to the link, you see the picture of when he was young, when the master was young, and he was skinny, obviously, but he had these huge traps, cobra traps. And so let me just read the interview. He goes, "Master, I remember asking you many years ago about this photo on the wall. I asked how your trapezius muscle got so massive. Could you please tell everyone the story behind such an awesome trap development?" And the master, replies, "The story came from a nickname they called me, the Little Eagle. I was so skinny I couldn't take the kick or the punch enough, and when I'm skinny, I lose in thigh grappling a lot too." To my Muay Thai. So my master put me to training and working at the same time. He told me to water the vegetables and carry the water 150 times a day. I would walk 180 meters going up hills with the water buckets hanging on my arms. I would go up the hill, water the plants, come down, and then up again. And then the student goes, 150 times, whoa, 150 static trap shrugs every day. He really means farmer walks. That's how your traps got so big? The master goes, yep, that's right. That's what made them so big. I really suggest you guys click on the link or go to the link and see the picture so you can see what I'm talking about. This guy's obviously has a skinny build but massive traps. So what lesson can you conclude from that? Once again, I pulled out a piece of paper and I wrote down all the data that I was given, and I used my own imagination and my own common sense to try to come up with my own conclusion. Obviously, this fits into the three rules that I mentioned, guys. Heavyweight, time on attention, and frequency. And this is the information that I got. He was doing this for 180 meters, right? So 180 meters, I had to convert that shit to feet and yards, whatever. I had to work in my kitchen to do the experiment and then multiply. It's good to know math. And I realized it's about the length of two football fields, approximately two football fields. So he would go up. Think about it, walking up, two football fields, and it was a hill, so it was inclined, a lot harder. Holding two buckets of heavy water. Obviously, it was not lightweight. I mean, if his master told him to do that to put on size, it had to be heavy buckets of water. So now he's holding these buckets in his hand. So obviously, in the bodybuilding world, we know what that is. That's farmer walks, and he's walking for 180 meters. So I did the math. Depending on how fast he was walking, I timed myself. I pretended to hold two objects and I started walking a certain distance in my kitchen to measure, like, if I'm walking really slow, how long will it take me to cover a certain distance? And then also use the fastest speed possible because I don't know how fast he was walking. But I came up with the conclusion that at the slowest speed possible, which I doubt he was going at that speed, but just in case, at the slowest speed possible, it will take him 1 minute. 1 minute to reach the I mean, at the fastest speed possible, it would take him 1 minute to reach the top of the hill. If he was going really slow, it would take him about 2 minutes. And so I did the math. I multiplied that by the time on attention, and his traps were under tension because he did this 150 times a day. That means his traps were under tension from minimum of 2.5 hours a day up to 5 hours a day, depending on how fast or slow he was walking. So you could get the average of that. That means his traps were under tension for about 3 hours a day, which in our world is called overtraining. But obviously, look at this guy's traps. It pretty much worked for him. And he was from a poor background where they really didn't have access to supplements and creatine and all that stuff. If you want to assume that. So yeah, so it's about 3 hours a day of time and attention. Now I don't recommend anyone to go out there and do that, but what I recommend people is to think outside the box. If someone put a muscle on attention for that long, if you multiply that by let me use my calculator here. You have 3 hours, and he did this every day. He said, but let's be nice. Let's say he only did it for 6 days. That's about 22 hours of tension on his traps in 1 week. And look at the gains he made. And I mean, obviously he was doing this every day, so he was doing it when his traps were still sore. So you could look at the story and use it to break a lot of the myths that are out there. Don't take it literally because we don't have enough information on this guy. We don't know everything about him, but use it as a way to like to tickle your fancy, to think, wait a minute. If this worked for this guy, I mean, obviously he was a really skinny guy, so you can't say he had the greatest genetics in the world. But use that to change your workouts a little bit because a lot of us are so scared of overtraining that we do less, you know. And I believe in heavy weight, like I said, time on attention, and frequency. You got to train a lot more often if you want to get those gains. This guy was training his traps for 22 hours a week. Most of us go to the gym, do 4 exercises of bench press, and think, oh man, I don't know why my chest is not growing. Well, I also did the math. If you the average dude that works out a body part once per week, and you do 4 sets of 10 reps, 4 exercises. If you do the math, let's say one exercise takes, let's say you do 10 reps and you go on like the regular speed. Let's say you do 15 seconds per set, right? So 15 times 4, that means you spend about a minute of tension on your chest for exercise 1. 4 exercises, that means 240 seconds on the tension in a week if you train once a week. Divide that by 60. That means at the end of the week, the average bodybuilder, the average guy that's trying to make gains, spends 4 minutes of tension a week on body parts, and he's wondering why he's not making gains. That's 4 minutes. People don't think about that. If you take the average workout of the average guy and you look at how long the muscle's on the tension for a week, it's no more than 4 or 5 minutes, which is really pitiful. So guys, you gotta increase tension on the muscle if you want it to grow. Anyway, go look at the story. I hope this helps. If you have more questions, put them in the comment below or inbox me. I'll try to answer the comments as well as the inbox, but I'm really full. So alright guys, remember the 3 rules: heavyweight, time on attention, frequency, meaning train more often. Send those signals to your body to trick your mind into thinking that the body part you want to grow is actually needed for your survival. That's why muscles grow. If your body doesn't think it's needed for your survival, it won't make any drastic changes. Alright? Team 3D Alpha.